All right. How's everybody doing? Everybody excited?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, we're glad everyone's here in person. We've got folks joining us online as well. We were just talking back in 2013, we had Mark come in and do an event for us. And so we had the idea, why don't we have him back again? So he was gracious enough to come in and show us how to do a flower arrangement. So we're excited about it. I'm going to give a little introduction for him. Mark is an artist, designer, author, columnist, entertainer, humorist, television, and internet personality.
And worn out.
Yeah. He's been on regional television stations and networks for over 20 years. He's been on the Travel Channel, Do It Yourself Network, Georgia Public Television. You can see his videos on YouTube and Facebook anytime. He's published 8 books, 5 cookbooks. I didn't know that about you.
And my son married a vegan.
Okay.
That makes holidays interesting.
That's funny. So he also does a lot of volunteer work, charity work, and him and his wife have been married for 39 years.
Oh,
Everybody help me welcome Mark Ballard.
It's great to be with y'all. I'm just sitting here thinking, why has it been since 2013?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I know y'all want to hear stories. That's what people that know me know the story. They're like, we don't care what you're doing, just tell a story. The older I get, it's like hard for me to keep the stories going like I used to on TV because I'm thinking I'm kind of losing it, I guess. But anyhow, I was supposed to be making an arrangement. It's my understanding that someone is going to win the arrangement.
Oh.
So because I have to get it finished, so I got to work. We don't have to come to your house and finish up, right?
Okay, all right.
Okay, so I've got lots of stories to tell y'all, but I will start off by telling you that I chose a basket because I wanted this to look like you just go into the garden and just pick some flowers and put something together. So I tried to pick, I call it gathering the stuff together. People ask me all the time, how do I go about doing one of my wreaths? I really do a lot more wreaths than I do. I mean, I saw some of those at Christmas. So if you follow me on Facebook, you can see all the stuff I do. But how I go about coming up with a theme and what to pick out, and how much you think you're going to need, and all that kind of stuff. So with me, it's sort of like I find something I like I thought these were pretty. And even though these are artificial, as my grandmother used to say, permanent. I was trained as an artist from when I was 8 years old, and that's why they call me the artist on television. But a lot of people only know me for doing this kind of stuff. And I studied. Some of y'all may remember Hauser Smith. He was an art teacher. I took private lessons from when I was 8 until I got a scholarship to the Atlanta College of Art, which is now called SCAD. So back then it was like the Harvard of art schools, and had I not had that preparatory work with Hauser, I would never have, been able to get into the school because you had to have a really, neat portfolio and all that kind of stuff. And if you weren't serious about art, they had everybody all over the nation that thought they wanted their little daughter. The rich people had their daughters like, I want her to go to art school, and I'm like, if they weren't serious about art, they were gone that second. But I think we started off with 150 people, and about 3 weeks we were down to 75. The schedule was relentless and what they expected of us, and it was before computers. And I was telling somebody the other day that I often thought about going back and studying, the stuff on computers, but I got so much more of an education because we had to hand do our stuff. Like we couldn't tell it to move over here. We want 2 of those. We had to cut out another one or draw another one, whatever. I do want to show you all this. I just finished. We live in an older home, and we're fortunate that the house is over 100 years old. That the lady that lived there, it was in one family basically. We've been there almost 30 years, but all these camellias are from my yard.
Wow.
So I literally went out, and I didn't know I was going to do a wreath. I literally went out, picked one, and then came in the drop, and painted it with watercolor, and then did another one, and then I saw it was kind of taking the shape of a wreath. And so this is actually the print. Y'all can pass this around. I did it on watercolor. It's a really good job. It looks like I painted directly around. But anyhow, it's a limited edition. So that's my brand new thing. I just got that. And while I'm on, I was going to tell you this. I've done a lot of cherry blossom shirts. I just got this today. Yeah, I've done stuff with the cherry blossom festival for.
That's great.
And then on the back it says "Be beautiful." So literally, I didn't have these. We don't have the price or anything, but they came today. I snatched this out of that box on the way out. I did this little hat too that says "Be beautiful." And I left one for my friend that's got ovarian cancer. She just wrote me back and said that that was the color. I don't know. I guess that kind of color. But y'all know, those of you that know me know I'm known for the bumblebee because that was my logo on TV. That's my logo now. And so I've been doing all kind of new cards, snow cards. I've been busy. This is, yeah, I do have some of the cards and I do have some out front, and I just, the print is brand spanking new. So, and this stuff is still wet. So, y'all are the first people to get to see it. So back to the thing. So every time I was on TV doing a read or something, I could hear Hauser, who had a very commanding presence about it. He didn't put up, I mean, I teach our classes now, and I told my students when they write about something, I'm thinking, you would have your stuff thrown out on the front porch and you'd be out of that class. Because, I mean, you know, I was scared to death of my child. But because of that, I got a great education that I wouldn't have gotten with somebody that was, you know, he knew, he expected more of me because he knew I could do it, and he, you know, kind of commanded it. That's how what prepared me for going into, you know, what's going on now. But anyhow, every time I'd be doing that or decorating the tree or cooking something on TV, I could hear Hauser in my head going, "You're a fine artist. What are you doing on that TV? Just making a wreath? What kind of wreath was it?" So, you know, after I got off the TV and I started doing some YouTube stuff and all, I started really doing a lot more of my artwork, just because it was, you know, it kind of was like a natural progression. And, you know, people were like, "You're an artist?" And I'm thinking, why do you think they call me the artist? They only knew me for a baker and a cooker and a wreath maker and whatever else. I wore many hats on TV, that's for sure. Started off on Dale Ward's sets. Y'all may have read that in the paper, my column. She asked me to come decorate her set for every Christmas. And, you know, it was about the size of this table. And so one time they kept me afterwards at WMAZ and said, "What about doing a show?" I was like, "Okay." Yeah. So the next Saturday, they gave me 2 minutes. And it was right before Christmas, and I was trying to show how to wrap what I call a Hollywood box, which is one of those boxes like on soap operas and movies where they hand it to you and they just take the top off and tear into it. It's gorgeous. I think we got the bottom half of it wrapped in 2 minutes. And then they went, "Well, I'll see y'all later." You know, thinking, so everybody called in like, "Why didn't y'all get finish the back? But the box." The next week I got 4 minutes. And so we had a little break, and then, you know, I started doing 1 hour show. I mean, it happened really quick. People, it was about the timing was perfect. And, you know, it was just so funny. But before Dale died, you know, she recently died, I told her that she'd been such an inspiration. And, you know, changed my whole trajectory with my career because of just me coming. Okay, so back to this. When I do a wreath or anything like this that I am trying to do, the first thing I think about is the size of the container. And then I think about what I call gathering the greens. So, you know, because that's going to be, I always start with, no matter if it's a wreath, it's an arrangement, anything like this. I always get all the different textures of the green things together, even though this is not really green, it's in that family. So then I start with that first. Set all my parameters, get that filled in. Then we come in with the fun stuff. It's sort of like icing a cake that you're going to decorate. Just getting that all done, then you can come back and have fun with the rest of it. So what I will probably do with this, these are... I said all that about my art training to tell you that I never was trained as a florist or wreath maker or tree decorator or any of that. With all those years, my mother, y'all know I've written about my mother for years, but she realized that my third grade teacher told me that I was drawing things at a better rate than the other third graders. I thought I was in trouble because she has to see mom after school, and I'm like, "Oh my God, I remember that." And so she said, "I just want to tell you that, you know, Mark, they didn't offer, you know, any kind of art lessons in school back then, at least the school I went to. And so, mother said, we were raised on the other side of the tracks and had nothing. And mother just did some investigating, found out about Hauser, and really we had to they sacrificed a lot to send every Tuesday afternoon. And unfortunately, mother died from a car wreck when she was 60 years old. She never saw me on TV. But all that paid off because, I just because she said, you need to have somebody said, you need that teacher. I still see my teachers still. That's so weird to see her. That's one thing about being on TV. You get to see all the teachers from all over. They always come out of the woodwork. I'm in the third grade. But this lady, I stay in touch with her, Miss Coleman, and she's the one that told that not. Okay, so I usually like to work in terms of like when I'm working. As soon as I tell you this, I won't do it. So I just told us to do it that way. I try to keep, like if I'm dealing with this particular flower branch, I try to do all that first. One, and then move to another, or else I'll get over here and realize I don't have anything there. But you see how I love for things to, to keep it airy and things to come out from the side. But that's one of the most common things people do is they don't take into effect that it doesn't have to be just the size of the basket when you come out. This has got a nice firm foundation. So, if y'all have any questions, Buster, oh, I'm sorry, styrofoam. I did that ahead of time. We're wasting about valuable time. So I crammed that styrofoam. But styrofoam that I've just glued in, it's still thick, and then covered it in moss. So that way, anything that I'm sure you do when this gets finished, you won't see the moss. But if you were to, be examining it, I didn't want anybody to see moss stuff.
This one doesn't fall out either.
That's right, it's glued in there. Now, that's an interesting point, though, because I do try to put a little dot of glue just to hold the things in place. A lot of people don't like to do that because they might want to go back and change something. I mean, you can get it out if you want to, but it does seem to help hold it in place while you need it. So anyhow, back to I didn't have any training with this. And some of y'all, I'm used to commercial breaks, so y'all may have to get back on track. Like, where you up to me? Okay, you were telling us about it. My only training I had with flowers, permanent flowers, and any kind of flowers for that matter, was with my grandma. I used to spend some summers with her, and she was all about going to the cemetery. And she put those permanent flowers, and she had a little kit, like a almost like a like a thing you have a drill up, and all it had was Vaseline, shaving skin, and these brushes and all this stuff. We was like dig up and get all the dirt around, and then Granny thought that if somebody's other permanent flower blew over away from the headstone for expansion, then she thought they were free for the taking. And so basically she taught me how to steal it. But a lot of times they were bleached out. And, because that sun is supposed to come out, you have like a daffodil, for instance. And every bit of the color would be gone, it would be just like a clear, plastic daffodil. So Granny would, gather, or have us gather, the grandchildren, the scrub, and then we would go back to the house, and she knew I was kind of childhood daughter, so I'd be painting that daffodil back and forth. And I was like, Granny, you should found out that I don't know if y'all know this, but a lot of times, these cemeteries have places where they bury the flowers. They have like a big place they just turn it under the dirt, and we used to they turn them out. We attended that funeral and got us the flowers. So I never know that group. That's the hardest thing to me about visiting another one is to go places like that, or to have fun, things personal belongs to them, to think that they're still here. That scene is just like it wasn't there, but they're not. Something can survive, mother's death, but she's not here. So that's always tough for me. And I don't know y'all have that about loved ones. You think that I'd give anything to, you know, and then there's a lot of people that talk about their mother. I had this one man that said, I just was dreading to go see my mother. And I thought, if I could just have 5 more minutes. You know, I mean, people, if you're going to see your mother with that kind of attitude, then you shouldn't go, because that's the wrong attitude to have. You know, I mean, he actually came back to me later and said, I'm glad you talked to me about that. I'm thinking, well, somebody should have talked to you about it before. That shouldn't matter. You know? And you know, you don't know what you have until it's gone. Okay, so this I love, because it looks like I just went out the backyard and cut some off the shrub. But I even variegated all the branches and leaves. And I love it when they try to fool the eye with, you know, the new growth being a lighter green. You know, instead of just being, they've come a long way since those daffodils at the center. So I'm going to use this to, I already did all this heavy cut and I can't feel this wrist before I do. Because the nicer the flower is and the more realistic it is, the bigger the stem. I don't know if y'all noticed. But it's like a telephone pole wire going through there. And I've been on TV like, you know, trying to go. And I don't know if y'all remember Suzanne Lawler. She's still on TV. Yeah. She was on with me kind of as a little co-host until everybody said, take her off. We came to see him finish and stop. I tried to give her a little job much the same way you would a child. You know, like you're looking at go, Mark, go up there and reach all those hands or whatever. I would send something over there, say it was something like this. I have a whole bunch of them. We'd be on live television. And I would have this laying there, this covered, and my $150 pair of scissors. And so I would go, Suzanne, like I'm talking to a blank camera. And I go, Suzanne, you know, why don't you cut these all? Even though I'd cut them right, I cut an inch off the people I didn't like. And so, because people would say, why did she would add, I call her craft impaired. I call her straight to her face and on to craft impaired. And I'd be sitting there trying to show something. She'd go like, why? You know, just something that didn't make sense. Like, how did these get to be fuzzy? You know, we're not talking about being fuzzy. We are trying to do this arrangement. I only got 2 more minutes. So out of the corner of my eye, I saw her with these. And I mean, we were raised poor. But mother had a pair of sewing scissors and a pair of paper scissors. And you better give your heart to God. Because mother was going to have the rest of you. If you even thought about using her to cut, you know, sewing scissors on paper. In fact, when she died and when Daddy had died, we were doing a estate sale. I was back there in the room where she had the sewing machine, and I was, making posters and signs to indicate what the things were. And we had to go get them, and it was almost like something from Harry Potter. I felt like a flame came up. So here I am on live TV that was so instilled in me since I was a child. And I see her over there with something this thick and the scissors. And I'm talking to the camera, or y'all, and y'all's looking at it. And all of a sudden I see this, I can't seem to get this to cut. And I'm going, what is wrong with you? And I was like, we'll be right back after this commercial. And so during the commercial, I was like, a lot goes on during the commercial. It's so funny, you may be choking, I may have been choking her or whatever. I'm kidding, of course. I mean, there's a lot of tension going on. Welcome back. Kind of like us on Sunday morning. My daddy was trying to board tickets. We had one bathroom for all 4 of us to get ready and growing up, little tiny house. We could be in the biggest fight all the way up to the church, but when that car pulled in and we got out, we were the happiest family ever. Think about that the next time you watch TV, because that's what goes on in the meantime. Especially the live stuff. And what's even worse is a lot of people are hard on people, because I used to go on live shots where you're out in the field and they're coming to you and there's always a time delay. And sometimes you're just here, you're thinking of my own, or that's why you see those people thinking, what's going on? Because they can't hear. They don't know, am I supposed to stop? Am I supposed to start? What's happening? So, Suzanne, I thought I lost my job. Yeah, I was going screaming at her on TV, but instead, everybody called in like, I'm glad he told her. She won't leave him alone anyhow, and he's trying to get his word done, and anybody knows that sense that you don't touch paper with. So really, from then on, I really kind of take on myself. And so I was like, okay, I'm sorry I did that. understand, when I TV sometimes, like, if I went to somebody right after that, I just saw you at Charlie's birthday. How are you here? And I'm like, well, I got in my car, got my good scissors. So anyhow, that's the story of that. And so Granny had me painting all those. And she also went through depression herself. And now we're going to people that they talk about that went through COVID, right?
Yeah.
She because of that, did not ever buy Ziplocs or saran wrap or tinfoil or anything like that. She saved every bread wrapper, every twisted tie. So if you say, Granny, can I take home some bread? She'd go get a piece of Roman meal, like a bag of Roman meal, empty bag. And there was a drawer in the kitchen that we thought as kids it was like a pirate had something in there because we never could get it out. We always waste sliders and shit that. And when we finally, they both all died. We had to clean out that house. 1,000,000 of those twisty ties had stuck that whole drawer together. And literally, if we had put them in 2 in, we could have gone across America. And so I thought, all those times, she wouldn't, we'd give her nice gowns for Christmas that she wouldn't wear them because she's thinking, I'm going to save that when I go to the house. I'm going to just wear my ragged ones to go around the house and all that. And then when she died, I thought, you left your stuff. You never wore that gown, it's still in the wrapping bag. So one thing I learned from COVID is that the other day we made lasagna for a few people. If I got out my nicest time, I thought, we may not get another opportunity. You got to use it, like lose it. Use whatever you have because we don't know what's tomorrow, right? Okay, now I love the fact, I will stop and tell you, the fact that this is a more limey coloring. I do like the fact that this is variegated, this is blah, blah. It gives you a lot of texture. And I think being an artist is what lets me understand about texture and stuff like that. Whereas, if I'd have taken out the FDA, what was that? Floral place that they always said those arrangements where it's like 3 roses in the spring of Bucky. I was like, I missed that class and I'm glad I did. But I heard one lady go, I've never seen anybody do one like that. Like I hadn't broken every rule. I thought, well, now you have. So you don't have to worry about it because I didn't know I was doing anything wrong. Okay, so this is looking cool. We got our greens coming together.
Can you hold it up?
Oh, of course I can. Y'all tell me because I'll get on something else. Basically, I just kind of. The other thing you need to decide is this something that you're going to let be a centerpiece? So you only look, you need to see it all the way around, which is what we're going to do with this. Or if it's going to be something one-sided, like you have like a church arrangement at the altar or whatever, where you're going to have something flat at the back and you're only concerned with other things. Like this one, you will see me continue to move this around because this we are going to have. That doesn't mean that both sides have to be exactly the same, but it does mean that you need to consider the back of your outfit, right? Like sometimes when I see people with some of my t-shirts over the years at the grocery store that they got the medium and should have gotten the triple X. And you're thinking, gift? And they're like, no. It's about, for me, I'm like, okay, because I'm not going to tell anybody what's up to get. But I have literally been behind somebody in the grocery line where my shirt is going, help me! I want to go back home. This is, I think, this like lamb's ear or something. I love that. How did we get photos? But what I'm going to do is tuck this in. That's like, I was toe-headed as a little boy, and in the summer it was so hot, they just basically gave, well, they call it a crew cut, but basically they shaved my head. So that blonde hair that was, like an 18th of an inch coming out, every lady that I'd be, granny, they'd be sitting there, just sit right here, Mark, and I'd be like, same thing I want to do with this. Like it's a cool blanket or something, and they're like, oh, why are they right on my head? She said, it just feels so good. And I think it was nuts. So let's stop. Yes.
Can you put too much greenery in
She's asking me about putting too much. We still got all this to get in. Oh, you won't even see any greenery. That's like, when I was on TV, I said, you're not finished decorating your tree if you can still see green. And so this lady, you know, people just left, they cut my shop and went there and started decorating their tree. And so one husband wanted to, you know, go to play golf or something, and his wife was making him help with decorating a tree, and he was doing it with what we call with our kids, that attitude. They really don't want to do that. So he would just go there and just put a little sprig of something there and then go, okay, and she's like, no, and go back. And she said, well, Mark Ballard said, that if you know, if you can still see green, you're not finished. She said, well, just get Mark Ballard over here. And let him finish this tree because I'm busy to go play golf. So, you know, it's backwards way of answering your question. It probably is, I'm sure, the FDA. What do they call that? You know what I'm talking about. It's F something. FTD. There we go. I'm not a member, so I don't know. They probably would say there is, but I like to get a good little shrub we're going for us to start. Now, next I'm going to go for the biggest guy. I want to fill in, and I love this coloration. This is like my favorite. I have lots of hydrangeas at home, but my favorite is when they're in the process of changing color. It naturally, and I'm taught how to dry them and everything, but this is just a beautiful color because it's still got some of the blue, but it's starting to go to that beautiful green color. So I just had to have these today. I
got it.
You got it? Okay.
Facebook.
No, everyone that looks through will go, don't even make that look. If you're ready to say that, you did, you're thinking, well, let me put it on in my memo because I don't want to do it if make you say that. So immediately that starts giving us some volume. And so we're going to work. Plus, it's beautiful with this lambs here.
That's what I was wanting to get where it's that too. I was trying to get different stages. No, I was taking the pictures at different stages. So
Hey, everybody that's not here. We're having a ball. I'm still wondering why. I don't know if I'd be interested in y'all better stay tight to have me back before then. It's like using that good china. You better go ahead and get it. You win on that, right? That should have been on recording. My worst thing at TV was you be mic'd up. They call it a live mic. And I would be going, you know, like not realizing I'm still mic'd up. Why has she got that outfit up? And then they would be like going to the control room and be like, I spent half of my time on TV trying to get out of trouble. But you know, everybody just seemed to love it on TV, so I just kept doing it. They loved that little love-hate relationship that Suzanne and I had. They said that's what made that work, is I was just like, I look at the camera and just go like, I love talking to the camera because what I did when I was on TV is pretended that I was like right now in front of people. You know, a lot of people talk over here or some other place. I just felt like I was in your living room and it was just myself. And if I made a mistake, you know, I think that's one reason to do the show was successful. It was on the heels of Martha Stewart, where we would see those recipes. That we would look at the ingredients and think we don't even have that at our stores to make it. We're going to go to Atlanta and try to make that cake, and I know it's not going to be near as good as one that's got pure out Crisco and lard. So they love the fact that I was a real person. Everybody always says I'm the same person. You see me out by the way, because I am right now, because I don't know who else to be. I didn't have anything to. See, I'm starting to get. This is a beautiful color combination from an artistic point of view. I love that color combination. Now, I always like putting some sort of fruit. I guess it's from all those Baroque, you know, from the art period. I said this one time on TV, and somebody said, "What, Baroque?" The Baroque art period. You know, they would include fruits and stuff. So I thought this was a great color because again, we go back to our palette. And so, in order to get, a lot of people have trouble. Suzanne would go, well, how are you going to get that to stay? Y'all are thinking the same thing? Well, what I do is get a little, I say, like Randy and her twisted eyes. She also did that with, what was the lady that, who did the Mrs. Smith's or whatever, those pies? And y'all remember those, I guess they still have them. My son said he has them sometimes, those little chicken pot pies that are little bit. We used to think that was the best thing we had. But you had to cook for an hour and a half. It was frozen. You don't get starving and think I gotta have that chicken pot pie because you guys will go ahead and ride up your bike somewhere. This will be an hour and a half. Granny saved every one of those 10. And they were just lined up in the garage. And I started to call them back and go, Mrs. Edwards, do you want to step on that? You remember when the Living Meringue came out? Mrs. Edwards, we just thought we had to die. If you went to somebody's house and they had that, it was like, oh my God, Mom, they're rich, they got Mrs. Edwards. Okay, so I just take a little stick that I've got, and this has bendable wire. That's important because we don't want our parents staying straight at attention. So we're going to put it, I'm going to tuck it in here. Again, I'm going to touch it away. I like to touch it away. It's a good scissor. And then I'm going to put this into the styrofoam, and then that will allow me to bend that. To where it can sit, kind of in a free form. So here we go with the 4 steps. Here we go. Got it ready. Here we go. You know what? Share with the group.
I'm not sure I'm going to like the fruit in it. And she said, well, I'm going to reserve. I look for you.
You're not from the Baroque period?
No, I'm not broke.
Thank God. I'll be the one that we stood on the corner of the street going, we're only putting 3, so I'm not, it's not like I'm putting it down. Okay, so just to reserve.
Please forgive me. She's
Please
good.
talk. She's got them helping her with her money, you help her with it. Now I just want a little sign on the parents. The parents are like, what's wrong with her? You want to
I love pears.
Well, my daddy was in the propane gas business. And he had a fish cooker when they first came out. They had a big stainless steel thing this big and a fryer and all that. It was just basically a big Bunsen burner that just lit up. I'm sure they still have them. But he would make the best pear preserves. Because, he would make that whole thing. He would just give it to neighbors. And we had a whole bunch, but he unfortunately committed suicide. I had gotten the camera crew to go over like maybe 6 or 8 months before that to film, because he really didn't have a recipe for him. He just knew how many to put, because it was in big quantity. And, everybody, to this day, they still talk about his pear preserve. And so we had like maybe a dozen or something that he'd given me. And, we did a whole video with him on his front porch, making them, and to this day, I don't know. But there was a mark, enough time has passed, you need to watch it, because it's a really good video, but I didn't want to get rid of all of them, because I thought, I could hold on to a little piece of him if I kept something, because he was so known for that. And then I had them downstairs, and one day I went down there, they were just, black. Years and years of. Okay, so you can be happy that one. But looking at it from this direction, jump out the whole thing on the front porch. You can see how I've arranged them in a sort of a triangle. Now, some people use, that just comes naturally to me because of art training. But some people only work in groups of even numbers. You've heard that, only 3 or 5 or whatever. I never think about that as much as I do just placement and things, because most people aren't going to be maybe hurt.
Absolutely.
You actually gonna be
I'm only
hurt.
going to please.
But just a minute, you have a little child on the way home. But most of the time people are not going to be. It's more of an overall effect. Now, just like my wreaths and Christmas trees, that you're thinking, what is under that? Somebody, when our house used to be on tour all the time, people would come in and go, is there something under that tree? I would hear them talking. And I'm thinking, yeah, it's a tree under there. I can't see anything green. I'm thinking, that's the best compliment I can get. Best compliment I can get. Okay, so we're continuing on. This is what
You're just fine.
or those people at home falling asleep on it, because we're having a ball. Okay, these are such a pretty color. And so they even have a little touch of a new growth. I love that. But they're kind of a creamy, pinky blush if you're going back to Steel Magnolias. Some Pepto-Bismol, some blush. So you notice that these are more buds. And then I found a few showcase roses that are variegated and stuff that we're going to save for special places. So these are pretty even on their own, but those will take the whole thing to a different level because it's, you know, the whole different, not only size, but different, similar in color, but different in form. So that makes my artist. How many people knew Hauser? Did any of y'all know Hauser Smith, the artist? He did all, I don't know if y'all remember that when the Telegraph was, you know, Broad, that was where it used to be before they went to 3rd Street. When you went in back in the heyday, it had that spiral staircase, you know, that wound up, you kind of went into there and you went up the whole. Every one of those former publishers, and now some of them look like Abraham Lincoln kind of. He did them in charcoal all the way up there. And I'm teaching a class, art class now, when I'm doing the Caldwell Bankers. They have like a boardroom kind of classroom over there that's about maybe 3 times the size. And during COVID, we were able to social distance and stuff. And it was a big place. One day, they were asking my opinion about some decorating thing out there one day. And I happened to find, I walked into a small boardroom, and there was this portrait of, I think it was the Cardigans, and they were starting. And I was like, oh my God, that's got to be Hauser. I mean, when you spend that kind of time with somebody that was sort of like a mentor, and I walked over there, and there said Hauser. And they said, you know, just some people now, they're like, oh, well, I would have loved to have one of the portraits that they probably just threw away when they moved from that, you know, building because people didn't know who they were. It didn't matter to me who they were. It was about Hauser done. But she said, I didn't know what they're going to do with that on the Cardigans. And I thought, well, nobody wanted it. I mean, it's probably the size of this wall. You know, I don't know what I'd do with it, but I would say I wanted just something to add to the 100 things I have. I'm going to get to one day. But I did get him to do our portraits. You know, keep this in mind. Deborah and I have been married 40 years this cycle. And we moved, you know, I went to school in Atlanta, but I took it out of Atlanta, and so Deborah moved to Atlanta with us. And my goal was to have a career in Atlanta. And then my mother had that terrible wreck, and she ended up having all kinds of issues from it, and you know, ultimately died. But she was so depressed on the weekends, and we had 2 kids, and we were having to literally get off work and then just come, you know, be ready to call us back every Friday afternoon. We came, we didn't stay till late Sunday at night. We were just killing us after the year, but it made Mother so happy to be there. And, you know, she done so much for me. So, you know, it's the least I could do. So there was one day when we were going back, just about a good time. We're just going to make it. And I was like, what do you mean? I don't know anybody. All the people I know are not going to be able to buy anything about it. And so we just started to make that naked. So Hauser was I don't know if I'm still saying the right word. He was a person that couldn't leave the house with agoraphobe. What is that called? I'm probably saying the spider thing. What is it when you can't leave home?
I think it's agoraphobe.
Well, that would be rare if I got it right.
I think you're right.
We'll just say we're on Jeopardy. What is agoraphobe? So one of y'all send me a little message that didn't want to embarrass you on stage. There was always shocked every time I walked into the room. She got Deborah Young. I answered one of them right. It was like, how'd you know that? I took art class. I know all about this people. I just want to watch y'all's kind of stuff. So anyhow, he never left the house. Somebody came to the house to cut his hair. You know, now it's nothing to hear people bringing their groceries to you and all that because they do it all the time. But back then, you know, we were like, you don't go to the Piggly Wiggly? I mean, what's up with that? He was like, I just, you know, you can tell he's a nervous wreck. So when we moved to Atlanta, I told Deborah that I definitely wanted to get, you know, I spent some time with him, I definitely wanted him to do our portraits of my wedding. And I thought, which a lot of people with me do the same thing. They think if you do something small, like if I say this is going to be X number of dollars, well, what about if it's this? And I'm thinking, well, that's going to be more because it's going to be a lot harder to do it that small. Or when it came to a wedding, I used to go to weddings, they would go, now we want something, their way of saying cheaper is simple. And I'm thinking, no, you want to look like the one you went to the idea, but you just want to pay the simple price. So I tried to get him to do different on the same point, because I thought maybe 2 for 1 or whatever. And since I'm now an artist, I'm thinking, I'm sure he looked at me and thought, you studied with me all those years and you asked me to do that. Well, he immediately said, you know, he didn't bother him to say anything. He said, absolutely not. Yeah, real one being booming. Well, absolutely not, Mark. What are you thinking about? Y'all may get a divorce, and then she be, you know, that'd be a lot harder to tear than a photograph. So I was like, okay, Hal, that's fine. Let's just do something. It's a change. So back then, I'm talking, you know, 40 years ago, his portraits were $400 each. If I said that to a lot of people now, they'd be going, okay, bye. So I said, well, dear brother, I had to convince her that he used to go with color crayons, and they're the most gorgeous things ever. I mean, his technique, and he was one of the few people that did. I mean, he used to do portraits of, you know, world leaders like Winston Churchill. I mean, he was just to be in that kind of presence of an acting artist while you're learning to be one was a blessing that, you know. And that's what gets me about my art classes now is sometimes I'll just say somebody has trouble with something, so I'll say, well, I think I'll just do a lot of demo in a second about doing the dog's eye. I do like dog portraits now, or something like that. And if that were me, I would stop. Anytime Hauser said that's the best way to learn is to watch somebody else do it. So, and they'll be like, I don't want to get up, and I'm thinking, you know, you're gonna miss the whole thing. And you know, some people get, you know, amble up there. But that wasn't Mark. I was like, well, if he ever said anything about doing anything, I said that. Well, he did them in my tuxedo. I was in my tuxedo. Deborah was in her red dress, and it was like from here up. And I said, no, Hauser, don't worry about it. We're still living in Atlanta at the time. I said, do not worry about being in a hurry, because I'm thinking I'm going to save money for 10 years. And we had 2 little kids just married. And he said, well, I'm not worried. So 1 year went by, 2 years went by, and I'm thinking, I'm starting to get worried. He's going to die. And I called him. He was one of those people that, I don't know if you've ever called somebody. This is back to old school. We all have phones now, but back before you had answer machines, and that phone would just ring 100, like you were doing, talking about going to the place. It would just ring, and you're thinking, oh my God, this is and we need to answer, be like, hello. I hung up a couple times. My stuff wasn't worth that. I wasn't even ask you. I'm sorry. See you next Tuesday. Or you know, glad they didn't have caller ID. So anyhow, he was just had that gruffness about it. So I got the courage one day to call him about the portraits in Atlanta. I said, "Hey, I said, I'm not rushing or anything. I'm just wondering what's happening with the portraits. Thinking, you know, we're piecing out our 4th anniversary. And one that I wanted them then, you know, because we were young in our 20s. I just thought that would be something. It is, because now I have them hanging. But back then I didn't want to hang because it wouldn't make sense. One, we didn't have a place I could. So he said, I said, I just didn't want you to think I was worried. I'm not worried about it at all, he said. I said, okay, well, I'm not either. I'll talk to you later. Don't you dare touch that tin can that I'm saving money in, because he'll get shit and he'll call you. So anyhow, we came back to Macon to see another one of those stuff we're talking about. And I'm at Lowe's or someplace like that. There, where we're shopping. And I rounded the corner, and there was Hal. Now, keep in mind, from when I was 8 years old, he never left the house. So I just happened to be in, you know, Macon's, you know, Lowe's, and he is there. And talk about being taken aback. I was just like, ooh, you know, how? What do you have been in the portrait? What have you been doing? I mean, when did you start leaving your house? Your hair's cut. What's going on? And he was just, he got, you know, I guess medicine at that time. I called up and they give him some kind of drug, you know, whatever else is in the night. With me, it's sleep. It's so funny. The only reason I go, because I'm really healthy, the only reason I go get a physical is I have to get my sleep. I mean, I will do anything to get that sleep. There was something the other day because I got down to 3, I was counting. And I was like, I called the doctor's office, I was like, and then they told me from the, I don't know if y'all had to do this, but sometimes you call the pharmacist and they go, we're out of those right now. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm only good through Sunday night. Who has trouble sleeping? That's a horrible time. You're during the middle of the night, everything seems worse, and I just want to stomp through the house and wake everybody up. I am mean about it. And I sometimes don't give it like 2 or 3 hours because I can't shut my mind off. And so they tried to put me on medicine that shuts your mind off, but that didn't work. So I just had to go for the hard stuff. They say try some melatonin. I'm thinking idea. It kept me up. But when I called him, I thought I had never waited this long again to just have like I can't give them. It's gonna be next week. And I said, y'all got to loan me some or something. I was telling Darryl, I was just freaking out. And Darryl was like, you're a dick. I said, I don't care what you call it. I have to sleep. I can't go through all these performances and all that stuff I do in a day and not getting rest at all. I gotta have at least 2 hours. And so Deborah was like, well, just real serious. So I guess you're just gonna have to go get the stream. I thought, okay, where do you think I should start, Jerry? Is it time for a little update? People, when I'm doing reads, it's because this is much bigger than I thought. 50. I'm like the TV now, 50. I better get busy. So anyhow, he finally, after that, he's just out and about, gallivanting around Macon now that he's able to get out. And he called me one day and says, the portraits are ready, Mom. So we came down to Atlanta, and I don't know if that ever was that. How are y'all doing? Deborah didn't know about it. She had Jimmy Cleaver for a mother, and she didn't really know anything about anything like that. He didn't have any sewing scissors. Okay, wait. So I'm not fixing to make a mistake. So anyhow, we go over there, and he unveils it's like a little formal thing. And Deborah's was, I just immediately thought, oh my God, that is fabulous. But on mine, it looked like, I don't know if he slipped with that color crown that was red, but I would have never said, I can tell you one thing, I said, oh my God, it's fabulous. I would have never said a word. And I love it now, but every time I look at it, it looks like I got lipstick on. Deborah used to wear this color called Tiger Lily, and I go, I'm wearing Tiger. Isn't it good to laugh? We've been so closed up. I'm thinking I'm having the time of my life up here. There's a just let me say, oh, I heard that. How's it going? Why aren't you home painting? And I'm thinking, why aren't you home? You ever laugh at it? Okay, now this I love. This is like lilac or something, but it's got great leaves and just a beautiful. They travel a long way to China. So what people have not understood, I try to get to there to understand also. Sometimes you have to give them a little gem, because that would be a heavy bloom in relationship to the stem or whatever. So sometimes you just have to give them a nice, get them into a natural. I gave that to Suzanne one time for a little her job, and she just had they've been folded up like an accordion. I was like, have you ever seen that outside? What is your policy? Y'all think she's somebody says something to tell her. She knows nothing about her own live TV. There's no way. She's so good. I don't know what Mara says about me. Somebody said, I went and told her. I thought, good, she knows. I'm glad you reminded her. I really love Suzanne to death. She's just crafting pears. Okay, so I said, oh, they're great. We shelled out $800. I wrapped them up into kind of like we did Deborah's wedding dress for medically sealed. It was 10 layers of this, no bread wrappers, wrote everything else I could find. And we put them under the bed because I'm thinking we don't have any place to hang them, and I certainly can't afford to frame them now. So what are we going to do? Deborah said, so the one that we didn't like them, I just thought, we wanted to get a little bit older than before we didn't look so much like them. Lipstick and all. And so, about 3 years later, we moved out to Macon, And I get a call from him, and I'm thinking, oh my God, something's happened. And he goes, Mark, and I was like, yes. Again, keep in mind, this is like 80s where we don't know who it is. How's it? And I said, hey, how are you been doing? What's going on? He said, I'm going to be, he also just said that making a little theater. Some the actresses back in the day, if you ever go to make a little theater, there's portraits that he's done there. He said, I'm going to make a change if this hair's getting lost. So I want you to be able to see it. So this proves to y'all, I can't get it out. It might be a little mangled, but it's coming out. He said, they're doing it. I'm participating in the show. It was like some other play out of town somewhere. And it's all weddings. You know, he said, I thought I want to borrow yours and Deborah's ready for, portraits for the show. And I'm like, I'm going to think about this in a minute because I don't know what I'm going to say. They're under the bed. I don't think that's going to work. So I tried this unsuccessfully. I took a deep breath and I said, because I'm still scared to death of him. Yeah, I'm 61 years old. If he came in right now, if he was still working, I'd be like, he said, I said, Hauser, Deborah and I were just talking about this the other day. We have not been able to find the perfect frame to enhance those portraits that she's doing. No, I started saying that we waited for 5 years. And so there's this dead silence in the area. He said, well, I'll meet you. I don't know if y'all remember, but Mumford's used to be the only place downtown. We didn't have any Hobby Lobbies or anything like that. You had Mumford's, and it was a serious thing. We only carried Windsor and all that stuff. One lady in our class, he spent a whole 2-hour period from charcoal to oil, telling you what color Windsor you can get, Elizabeth Crimson, blah, blah, blah. You had just like honey, he said how much that kind of thing. And one of the ladies went to Kmart and got craft tin, like this is an old kid. He literally slung it out into the front door, off the front porch into the yard, and she was never allowed to come in. And I'm like, we're not going to be able to eat for 3 weeks, but I got what you said. Here it is. So he said, well, I'll just meet you at Bumpers in the morning and we'll find it. They're probably talking about frames. And I'm like, okay, we didn't really have your name to do it either, but I'm like, okay. He said, what are you doing? I said, I'm meeting Bumpers. We got these frames. So when we got there, he wanted to, I'm more of a gold. I love this color because it's kind of a little surprise color. Kind of like y'all would do with a purse or something, kind of a shot color. It's also going to go back to go out. It helps us with our line grease and stuff like that, but I thought it was pretty. And so we're keeping this natural. This is not fixed. We've just got the garden. We just have our little basket. We just picked up our little gloves and our good scissors. So anyhow, I'm a gold flame person. I'm kind of an ornate kind of. We all sing on it. And he was going me to do silver with else. So we met in the middle and did like not silver, not gold, kind of a platinum color, and we agreed on that. And then he said, no, I'm changing my mind. We're gonna have to go with silver. He picked up the 2 mats, which I really didn't like the mats, but I thought, use that thing my mother did. I'll let you out, worse than a 40-year marriage as well. I'll let you out the mats, but I'm picking out the frame, that way some joint effort. And he said, I said, Hauser, I took a deep, still scared. I was like, probably 35. I said, Hauser, you can have the mats, but I'm having the gold frame. I mean, I'm not talking about brass gold. It was like a, aged kind of ancient gold kind of thing. And he said, well, you are making a tragedy. And I said, well, it's just one I'm thinking I'm a grown man. It's a mistake I'm going to have to make, Hauser. I'm sorry. And y'all know they hang in our dining room now. I never walk past them, but I'm thinking because I've never gotten tired of them. And I really, the frame, I love the mats now together if I did, but I never have gotten tired of the frames at all. I just thought I was going to.
Have you gotten tired of the lipstick?
Well, never said it looks like Troy Donahue wearing tiger leather. No, but theirs is perfect. Wait just a minute, I gotta find my way. It's gonna take concentration. Because that little voice, you know, I showed it all the time on TV. I used to say, that little voice is telling me to put it here, and that little voice is telling me to put it there. And somebody asked me when I had open question time one time, do you hear voices? You know, I said, yes, I do. And I hope they never quit telling me where to put this stuff or I'm going to be in trouble. I've already made a tragic mistake with my frame chart. So anyhow, I never got over him being, and I went down to heart. I mean, that was just so sad because really, him being a reclusive like he was, it was very sad that he really wasn't known by a lot of people because he never left his house. You know? And you know, here I was known by everybody, but you know, I always giving him props in the paper and all that kind of stuff.
I'm glad it's on me.
It's going back in, don't worry. She's making a tragic mistake herself, not me. Whoever gets this, if they want to take it apart, they can do that, right? We got, what is that song? The Bones Are Good. Have y'all ever heard that before that song? Before they started doing those redoing old houses? I never heard that you had bones in our house. Well, some people's bones are not as good as others. Some houses are not as good. I'm putting this, now we get to our spectacular showpiece road. We're going to keep them kind of low and out and tucked above this gorgeous pair. Tragic as it is.
Tragic.
I'm even going to use this one, this long sprig. This is getting good. I think I'm just going to take it on. Put it under my portrait. We're going to get another rose the same color. All right, so I am going to make this rose. That's the thing about this glue. If you want to suspend your stuff somewhere and you can't get it to the right place, you just make a bridge. It's kind of like your teeth. You just make a bridge and you know, that's what you learn from making mistakes on live TV. That's what, you know, I got a lot of education on the TV also, because you know there's nothing you can do when you drop your whole egg that you're just making paper and you're like, whoops, moving back over to this commercial, and I try to get this, you know, out of here. Okay, see that little pair situation? Cool. So you missed me on TV. People said to their husbands, I know y'all probably still hear that music in your head. It's coming out. It's like some Vivaldi or some kind of famous song. Da, 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 da. And they would hear the husband would hear, go, your man's home.
My husband told me that all the time.
You better get in here. They're playing that music. I didn't know it was so. I just didn't know. All I could hear was how's it going by. You should be like, you know what's so interesting is that once I stopped doing that and started painting more, you know, even my son, he doesn't, your son is specific boy. He's been around me his whole life, so he doesn't know this special about my artwork. He told me the other day, he was like, let's go another bridge. Here's another little tip, though. Sometimes if you need to do something into a weird place, if you put your glue on there for a second and let it get kind of tacky, especially if you're trying to get it to some place where it wouldn't normally want to hold, you have better luck as long as it doesn't come into your hand. There's nothing like frying your hand to a hot glue gun on live TV. Or bad period. But on live TV, you will see a tear developing. You're smelling flesh, burn, and you're thinking, we'll be right back after this commercial. And you're crying by this time, and I get my hand on this ring. And you know what happens is you left, you people put such to you. And I'm thinking, you know, it's not something what you see us on. I'm thinking they can track that right back to me.
So what do you mean you make your bridge? Are you sending it to another plant?
I'm asking another branch to help me out.
Oh.
And you know, it's working so far.
So what kind of glue do you use?
Hot.
Not all hot glue is equal.
No,
You know, I prefer this guy. This I had to get during Christmas because I was running short. I didn't get any leaves. But this, the kind that's wider, is stronger than this. I don't know what it's called. It's like Sure Bond or something like that. But
Hobby Lobby, Joanne.
I think Hobby Lobby has it. I don't know about Joanne. But this clear came from Davis Wholesale. And I mean, it's good, but basically they had to run it over to me like everything on the show. I was like, oh my God. I mean, that's another thing that's hard finding. You go down here and you're out. But I do like these long ones. You can see mine is covered in glitter. And somebody said, well, your gun is awful. I thought, I use mine. I'll be over to somebody's house and I'll say, go give me your glitter gun. And they'll be like, come on, it's never been used. It's beautiful. It's come out of the bag. And I'm like, this is the best one I have. I never have like to depend on this to hold it. No, I think that came from JD because half the time you're sitting it so down and it's not standing up. But this I will share with you is neat. This is one of those new wave hot plate, hot pan. I prefer those that we made out of yarn. Yes, I'm staying out of unless you get your finger caught into one of those loops that's losing that. But other than that, I like to be able to wrap it around. I don't like those mitts that are so thick. I haven't dropped a cake before trying to get out of it. I would never use this for that, but it's perfect with this because you see where it's dropped on there, it just feels right back off. You never have to ever worry about it. See the things you like. Okay, so I think is there anything else I could put this in here? Anything else that I need to do a little quick? I'm going to say you're such a professional. Since you get a picture of me. Our students like me now. We're talking about if somebody says to show you what to do, don't tell me. We're almost finished. We have raised it up. I know that the people.
Where did this come from, Mark?
Oh, various places. So, I got some things at Hobby Lobby, but mostly when I have to get so many things, I get things like that tomorrow when I have to order them in bulk and stuff. But especially something like this. But I think they have this at Hobby Lobby, which I think is a great location. Okay, let's get into a professional mode here. It might be a portrait. I need to go get my Tiger Woods. Is it good? I'm depending on you, Joe. Yellow sweater. Since you had to stop what you were doing.
Oh, that's looking pretty. Okay. Make sure I got yours. That's okay.
You're gonna take it home. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's right.
There's one thing I've learned there's one thing I've learned about getting to that smile when you're gonna take a picture. The minute if you're in a group or whatever, and somebody wants to take a picture, the minute somebody sits on your toe or something and you go, or you look away, that's when it's done. So when you get that smile frozen, this is for you. You don't move it because the minute you do, I know the two parents were that's how they were.
They were.
All right.
No, I think you did right. Right on time. So here's the good news. One of you gets to win this. How about that? Who's gonna be?
Yeah, Ron and Amy
I
gets
hope
it.
it's the lady with the yellow sweater because she said, I'm
He
not
was
going to take
planning
a
on
picture.
here, so it's funny.
The lady with the yellow sweater, what's your name?
You, Miss Jean?
Jean. Oh, I've met you over the
Way
years.
back.
I thought, no, I knew you from here to the end, but she was so good at that. That's right. She held that beautiful yellow sweater, and I said, so video, everybody's taking pictures. I'm not going to take any pictures. I'm taking it home. I thought that's the other two have some. I'm taking it.
Okay, so we're gonna draw out the winner. Everybody ready?
I'm nervous.
Okay, this is as random as it gets. All right. Draw one. Tell them we got it.
I was scratching the wrong way.
don't want to take it. She was the one saying she was. I said, I'm not gonna do it.
You want one?
Yeah, enjoy between now and then.
Thanks
It's
again.
gonna be a lot
Y'all,
better.
everybody give them a round of applause.
I make all the reads for our house.
I wanted to take it home. So I think this is what it is.
All of her.